What's going on, everyone? And we're continuing with just more commentary on the NFL offseason. And I thought I'd stick a little bit more maybe with more recent signings, trades that have been going on, as opposed to talking about some of the more earlier ones, because I think it's a little bit too late, at least for now, to comment on some of those. Maybe later I'll do more team recap videos or something like that after free agency kind of dies down a little bit more. But today I kind of wanted to talk about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan moving from the Falcons, being traded away to the Indianapolis Colts. And then maybe talk a little bit about Baker Mayfield later on. But yeah, I mean, Colts making yet another trade for quarterback, giving up on Carson Wentz earlier this season. Now trying to give Matt Ryan a chance. I think when I thought about it, this is the Colts' fifth straight year of having a different quarterback starting for their team. Had Andrew Luck 2018, Jacoby Brissett after he retired. They gave Phillip Rivers a shot for 1 year, Carson Wentz a shot last year, and now Matt Ryan, fifth straight year with a fifth straight cornerback coming into the season. So a lot of volatility going on with the quarterback position for the Colts over the years, but I think that's been the story of their franchise for the past several seasons. But yeah, Colts trading away a 2022 third round pick for Matt Ryan. I think it's pretty reasonable, especially given his age, given the contract that they had to take on from him. And Matt Ryan due to earn like a little over $23 million in cash this season. And I think they've already restructured his contract, so it's probably not going to hit their books as much as that big original $23 million figure. But coming in at the age of 37, I think they're bringing in a mature, a reliable, a winning caliber player. There's other quarterbacks out there that don't have as great of a resume as Matt Ryan. I think he's definitely underrated, especially over the past few years. 4 Pro Bowl appearances. What is it? 4 Pro Bowl appearances, first team All Pro, an MVP winning season in 2016. Definitely a winning player. You can't. There's not too many things that you can really knock on him with his resume. Definitely brings a maturity to the Colts locker room that I think will be recognizable, will be definitely seen as soon as he gets in there. Now, can he continue to play at a high level? I definitely think so. Pair him with Jonathan Taylor, and I think he'll be a very, very solid quarterback for the Colts. Much better pass protection than what he was used to at the Atlanta Falcons. A much better, well-run organization, I think is fair to say, with the Colts compared to the Falcons. Pair him with Jonathan Taylor and allow JT to carry that offense like he often did last season. Let him take off that pressure from Matt Ryan, and I think you can see this really nice dual threat in the Colts offense. Now, you still do need your offensive weapons, right? You still need they let Paris Campbell walk. They let a few of their tight end retired. So I think you definitely have to prioritize your offense coming into the draft, coming into the remainder of the offseason. Unfortunately, they don't have their first round pick because obviously that went to Philadelphia in their trade for Carson Wentz the previous year. So now you're kind of relying on maybe looking to the rest of the offseason. Do you want to take a chance on Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Will Fuller, maybe Jarvis Landry? You have to give Matt Ryan some weapons. Otherwise, what are we doing here? You can't trade for him and then expect him to do with what little receiving weapons that he has right now. You got to look at tight end. Just try to surround Matt Ryan with as many weapons, reliable weapons, as you can. Otherwise, I don't know what the Colts are really doing trading for Matt Ryan right now. I think they have a big glaring hole at left tackle as well. With Eric Fisher not on the team anymore. That's a big glaring hole. If you can fill that up, I think Dwayne Brown, still a free agent. That could be a really solid option at left tackle. But if the Colts decide not to fill that up in free agency, then maybe look at the draft. I know you don't have your first round pick, but I think receiver you can still find in the second or third round. Now they don't. They don't have a third round pick anymore. But I think you're looking to the draft, and if you can just plug in some of those holes on offense, I think you're looking at a pretty a pretty decent upcoming season for the Colts. Especially now you're in a division where Deshaun Watson is gone. The Jags are still rebuilding. You really can contend for that for the division in the AFC South. Otherwise, anything short of that, I think, is fair to say it's going to be a disappointment. So I'm excited to see what Matt Ryan can do on the Colts. We'll just have to see what they do to help him out more. Now that they have a lot more cap space, especially after restructuring him, they got to do something. They have to help Matt Ryan out now. Moving on. Speaking of the Colts, I don't know what's going on with Baker Mayfield because we heard that Baker, he made the Colts. He said that the Colts was one of his, if not his most preferred trade destinations. And now how many teams has it been that has taken a look at Baker and decided to go other ways? You know, who out there is still in need of a quarterback and would be desperate enough to reach out to the Browns for Baker's services? You know, the Houston in the trade in the trade with Deshaun Watson, they preferred we'll keep Davis Mills. We don't want to pursue Baker. We're cool, right? We don't need Baker in return for Deshaun Watson. Well, you guys keep him. We'll stick with Davis Mills. You know, Houston said no. Washington said we'll rather trade for Carson Wentz than go after Baker Mayfield. The Colts heard that Baker were interested, but yet decided to go with a much older Matt Ryan and make a trade with the Falcons. You know, the Falcons, after Matt Ryan was gone, you'd figure maybe they'll reach out, try to get Baker as part of the rebuild. No, they went out and signed Marcus Mariota to a 2-year deal. Then the Saints, no, they signed Jameis Winston to a 2-year deal. Maybe the Seahawks. I don't see why the Seahawks, they made it clear that they're trying to stick with Drew Lock, at least for now. So what's left out there for Baker Mayfield? I really don't know. And it's clear that nobody is really after this dude right now. I mean, Browns are definitely interested in trading him away because they don't want to be stuck with paying him, I think it was close to $19 million in salary in 2022. They're trying to get that off of their books. If they cut him, that $19 million will just be dead money. But nobody is in a rush to get that level of a caliber player and pay $19 million for it. If he costs less, maybe, but it's just sad to see how Baker's career has gone over the past few years. Last season was rough. You know, last season, what did he have? Like 2021 was a rough year for him. 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Pro Football Focus ranked him as the 39th best quarterback in a 32-team league. 39th best quarterback of the year. You know, you had Odell, you had Jarvis, you had a good O-line, but when things got rough, he just was not playing well. Turnover prone. Fortunately, had that shoulder injury that made it even worse for him. And it sucks because you saw the previous year, he was pretty decent. He had 30 touchdowns in 2020 with only 9 interceptions, led the Browns to the playoffs, even won a playoff game over a division rival in the Steelers. So there's still some potential there. I think it's fair to say there's something in there that maybe some coach out there, maybe some team could potentially unlock from him. But 2022 doesn't seem like it's the year where that's going to happen. Right? The situation for Baker, his future right now is looking very, very bleak. It's tough to see like how much he has fallen, going from the number 1 overall drafted player to a Cleveland Browns franchise, coming in with all this swagger, coming in with all this confidence about himself, you know, coming up with all this hype, and now there's who's out there cheering him on, like who's rushing to have Baker be the quarterback. It has to be a huge ego. Like, you know, this has to be tough on Baker's ego. This has to be tough on his confidence right now. I really don't know. I really don't know where he's supposed to go right now. I think best case scenario, what you're looking at is maybe there's a team in this upcoming season where their quarterback gets injured, and then out of desperation they just need someone to just ride it out for the remainder of the season. Maybe that's Baker's best shot in coming in and showing that he still has something that he can show. He still has something to prove. But the Browns don't look like it doesn't look like Cleveland's going to be the place where that happens. Neither Indianapolis, neither Atlanta, and all these QB desperate teams, and Baker is all these teams making trades for QBs, and Baker is left just wondering what he's going to be doing, where he's going to be playing. It's really confusing to think about what's the best case scenario for him, or what's going to happen for him after next season. Now, after next season, if he's not on the Browns anymore and is a free agent, I could see him some team picking him up. But in 2022, it's really looking bleak for Baker. We'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see what ends up with Baker, but I'm interested to see what 2022 has in store for him. That's all I have for Matt Ryan, for Baker Mayfield. Appreciate y'all. If you watched till the end of this video, appreciate y'all watching, and hope that we can continue this series. Thank you guys. You guys take care.